That should be the new conflict resolution.
Those batiks or whatever it's called.
If you can't hear this, then your flight leaves in 2 minutes. Voice of Ashram. I think this is the correct distance. X square plus y square is equal to 1. Can you hear me, voice? Yeah. I think Swami is gonna have a sound here.
Way too high.
I can actually reduce the.
But it's here, not you. Don't touch yours. Yours is really low. The Mahavir set of those.
Oh, I see.
If you go any lower, don't touch anything in the front.
Let me at least check, make sure that the volume settings are still the same.
Yeah, because your
Because Panchapura has all the flavors in it already. Okay. It's got a wine and kalonji and exactly. So if you put any more masala to it, it's really.
I like the keyboard.
Could you have coffee
I have this size cabbage.
The whole cabbage you can use?
Yeah, this size
So
cabbage.
it comes out to be this much, everything is right.
No, this is everything. This tall and this big.
Yeah.
Maybe like this, but when you measure it.
That's a good nuisance.
Try it 2 pieces. I mean, it should be, this is that's the only flavor you have.
You turn it up?
Maybe 2.5 teaspoons, but the point
Let's
is
turn it
not.
up.
Okay.
Does it smell like,
Try the
smell like ramen?
Fry the bell pepper.
I don't know.
First, it's very hot,
Okay.
and then
Fry the bell pepper.
fry the cabbage first.
Oh, not the bell pepper?
Oh,
oh here, so
Cabbage takes longer to cook.
oh.
I hear background for this. You can hear stuff. Otherwise, you're natural.
yeah, that static is there all the time.
There's a static.
Oh, it's not all off. In the front is perfect. It's here.
Yeah,
This is
our
from,
Ours means like on the computer.
no. Oh, he has already requested pictures.
Really?
But maybe that.
great chef,
Yeah.
great chef from Singapore.
Yeah.
You know, in Singapore.
Necessity is the mother of invention. When you are hungry, everything looks very tasty.
Where did you learn? In Delhi or to Singapore? Where did you learn?
And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda ji commences tonight's satsang with a Sanskrit peace chant.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We begin with mystic song by Sri Swami Lalitananda, played and sung by Sri Swami Umananda and Rajneesh.
Our song tonight is called Let Me Love You Alone. Hey Prabhu Ananda Data, all alone I walk, though friends pretend to be so dear to me. I steps away. How can words secure my deep, deep love? For a clouds of virtues I see. My love alone is for Him who shines within my heart. Tender, sweet, supreme. Hey Prabhu, Data, it is you who are the giver of bliss. Hey Prabhu, Data, oh Bhagwan, let me love you alone. We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda in Miami, Florida. Today is November the 24th, 2020, Tuesday evening, and tonight Swami Ji will be lecturing on the Yoga Vasistha. This is series 2018, class number 291. And now Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Brahmanandam Param Sukhadam Kevalam Dhyanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyaadi Lakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatihitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namam. Om. Adorations to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha, Nirvana Prakarana Purvardha, Section 31. Lord Shiva imparts knowledge, wisdom to sage Vasistha. That's the context. What is being highlighted is Brahman as consciousness, Prajnanam Brahma. Allow your mind to understand this statement, to understand what we mean by consciousness. First stage of consciousness is relating to your experiences by your senses, by your mind, your feelings, your imaginations, your understanding. All these have their awareness, your awareness of your good thought, awareness of your negative thought. So beware, awareness is always there. can't live without awareness. And even the awareness of being unaware that type of awareness is a characteristic of world experience. You can't experience anything for which you visit centers, etc. And the ultimate purpose is to have self-realization, keeping that in view. Lord Shiva is imparting this wisdom to sage Vasistha. This consciousness is the illuminer of all. It is eternal, taintless, devoid of mind and senses, free of all defects and modifications. It is the reality behind all objects, whether an earthen pot or a monkey, whether a snake or a human being, whether a god or a demon. This point I have just already explained to you, because when we are talking about snake, human beings, God, demons, and multiplicity of things, that's called bhava pratyaya. All these are led by mental projection, their presence and their absence. All that you see in a cinema show, no matter how entertaining they are projections. And the reality is only the screen behind them. So that reality is pratyaya bhav, perceptions, projections are absent. One is the presence of projection, another is absence of projection. You evolve through the presence of projection. So as mind goes on projecting, you go through the whole story from bondage to release. But when you have attained release, projection world is transcended forever. Just as a lamp, because of luminosity, removes darkness and illumines objects in the inner room, in the same manner, the self, though ever inactive, is the illuminer of all. Insight, the role of consciousness. Consciousness illumines. Sun illumines. It doesn't mean that the sun has to go at a distance to illumine other objects of the world. Sun doesn't move. Its light permeates all. Pure consciousness doesn't have to move. When you dream, that gives you a little simile of similar. You don't move anywhere. You are right on your bed. But your mental projection has created a dream that has led you to have a big travel from Alaska to down tip. And though from your waking standpoint you are not going anywhere, in your dream you have all those experiences and they are very real. As long as you are dreaming, every experience is real. Only when you wake up that you realize nothing existed. Similar is the reality behind all your experiences. All the experiences that were so real in your previous life, where are they? All the experiences that were so real in your childhood, where are they? And therefore, all the experiences that we are now having about so many problems of the world, problems of politics, problems of this, problems of that, problems of this and that. All your experiences of problems, where will they be? They will all vanish. But what will not vanish is your very self, pure awareness. So use your awareness to discover pure awareness. And that's a subtle art. And that you do by following the spiritual path of listening, reflection, meditation, samadhi, and so forth. Veiled by ignorance, this consciousness believes itself to be dependent upon the body. Each time when you think of your consciousness, who am I? You begin to look at your nails, your body. This is what you are. But that is, awareness of your body is not the awareness, the absolute awareness. It's like an experience in your dream. Though supremely pure, it believes itself to be affected by the taints of attachment and hatred. So this is the predicament of relative consciousness. There is raga, dvesha, attachment and hatred constantly. And what seems to give joy one day, another day it doesn't. So you are never definite. What is there to be attached to? And what is there from which you must detach? The mind has no. In your dream you had very wonderful experience. You have found a cute cat. And you fell in love with it. But now, waking up, there is the question of attaching yourself to the cat or stay detached. This question doesn't arise. That means raga dvesha, the play of raga dvesha is a big illusion. And similarly, your egoism, all the kleshas are in the realm of ignorance. Though devoid of all imaginations, yet it seems to be affected by the imaginations of the mind. Imaginations are reflections. You look at a lake, calm, but suddenly you are not looking at the lake. You are looking at clouds, the sky, the flying birds, trees, squirrel jumping from one tree to the other. But while looking at all this, you are actually looking at the lake. So try to keep a distinction between your awareness based on reflections, awareness of all the reflected images in the lake, and the lake itself. Lake versus the reflections. Pure consciousness versus your vritti-based illusions of presence and presence and absence of things. Though all pervasive, it seems to be restricted. That lake is all pervasive. It enfolds all reflections and transcends them. But as long as you are limited by your ignorance, you are unable to see the calm lake, absolutely untouched. In the waking state, this consciousness seems to be tainted by the external objects of the world, as well as inner mental functions. But being led to understand that waking, dream and deep sleep, these are all in the realm of projection. The reality is beyond all the three states. And waking state is like a long dream, but it has the same characteristic of dream experience. In the dream state, it is tainted by the subtle desires of the mind. But in the deep sleep state, it withdraws all mental projections and remains as a witness to the veil of ignorance. A piece of gold that has collected dust appears to be copper, but when it is polished, it shines with its own natural color. All these different illustrations to give you deeper understanding about the nature of the self. The self, pure consciousness, is like absolute gold. But then that gold appears to be ordinary metal, copper, iron, or whatsoever. Why? Because of three obstacles, three impurities. Mala is gross impurity, vikshepa, distraction, avarana, which is ignorance. Led by these three, the gold of soul of the self has as if lost its golden value. But gold remains gold. That Brahman Satchidananda is your reality, even though it seems as if you have lost nothing, neither there exists stability in your existence, nor stability in your awareness, nor stability in your happiness. Sat Chit Ananda, all the three are jumping around in agitation. I'm joking, it's a parable. And though you are essentially Satchidananda, you don't have to jump around. You are absolute Sat. But your concept of Sat has become a delusional concept. I am, what's the proof? My body. But how long will the body exist? Now the Sat in you is gone. You are Asat has taken over like a big ghost. When dirt is removed from a mirror, it regains its quality of reflecting objects. This simile I have given many times. Chitta is your mirror. But this mirror has restrictions, restricted by mala, gross impurities, just like your mirror can have dust over it. Then you can't see your face. The mirror can be shaky. If shaky mirror, even though the dust can be is less, but you are not seeing your face clearly. And the third is avarana. Even though all that your mala has been removed, the shaky mirror is no longer shaky. But then your own hair drips down over your eyes. It's called avarana. But when these restrictions are removed, mala is removed by karma yoga, vikshepa by bhakti, and dhyana, meditation and devotion, and avarana by jnana, knowledge. When these three are removed, there is a revelation of who am I. The mirror, pure consciousness, shines. Everything that you are experiencing was reflections of that mirror, or reflections in that mirror. It is ignorance which causes pure consciousness to become involved in the illusory world process. Just like you go to sleep and you have apparently no problems, that's why you have gone to the bed. But the moment you have entered your dream, you are trapped in a different world. But all that world was caused by your subtle desires, vasanas. It is ignorance which causes pure consciousness to become involved in the illusory world process. And it is knowledge which renders this world non-existence. So even while you are dreaming, there comes a stage when little knowledge sneaks into your dream state, and you begin to develop the idea, this is a dream, not reality. I am dreaming. While you are still dreaming in your dream world, the moment you have done until you really wake up completely. Just as in the presence of a lamp, one is able to perform various actions in the same manner in the presence of the eternal witness. One performs various actions of body and mind. And that is just referring to that Upanishadic statement. What's the light that enables you to perform all functions? What's the light of lights? And it goes into a series. First, senses are your light. Without the senses, without the light of senses, the world cannot perceive. But then light behind the senses, mind. And light behind your mind, intellect. And behind intellect, cosmic mind. And behind ultimate reality, behind all this is Brahman, pure consciousness, light of lights. So without supreme awareness, you cannot perceive even the minutest little experience in your life. You may be experiencing extremely negative experience, miserable, petty things, but the reality behind it is pure awareness. In your dream you can be having the worst dream, but it is based on your own consciousness, based on your own bed, speaking allegorically. Your body is comfortable on the bed. Nothing is happening. But your mind has created the drama. Same way your mind goes on creating. This is a divine iPad. That you have found your identity through the iPad. That's bad. Because this iPad changes its contents so fast. Just this little touch of a finger. This point is further detailed. It is supreme consciousness, prajnanam, chaitanya, param chaitanya, which causes the optical nerves to operate, thus bringing about the perception of various colors and forms in objects. It is supreme consciousness that causes the perceptions brought about by the sense of touch, even when you are touching. All that is happening through your touch, backed up by pure awareness. You are touching God of gods. Every perception, the reality behind it is Brahman. If that mind begins to move towards it, your bhakti rises to a higher level. Siya Ram Mai Sab Jag Jani. The entire world is filled with Sita and Rama. Rom Rom Mein Ram Rama hai. कण कण में घनश्याम बसा है. The entire world is permeated by Brahman, God, the Absolute. And that God is I am. It is supreme consciousness that causes the perceptions brought about by the sense of touch. Just beginning with the sense of touch. This also is a lesson in affirmation. When you are calmly meditating, calm mind has become serene to a certain extent. Absolute serenity is not quick. But to the extent you are, let affirmation enter your mind regarding who am I, and led by the light of your intellect, create the affirmation. And that affirmation should bring great delight in your mind. When you suddenly develop in your mind that inspiring insight, that even everything that you touch, everything that you experience, positive or negative, at the sense level, behind that is awareness, pure awareness. That awareness is Brahman. If your attention could be switched from your experiences to Chaitanya awareness, regarding experiences that are at the sense level, you have to use the philosophy, nothing exists, nothing belongs to me. Another, wait and watch. Even this will pass away. It is the consciousness that is the real subject behind the operation of the five senses. Though you go on experiencing vast world led by your five senses, you don't realize you could have had 6 senses. You could have had 8 senses. Could have had 10. But you are conditioned by only 5 senses. So the entire world is being poured into your personality through the 5 channels. Any one of these senses becomes weak, you are sustained by other senses. So eyes are weak, well, your ears continue and other senses continue. But when there are even 2 or 3 senses come down, you are as if dead, because nothing can you experience. So the entire world experience is based on your 5 senses. But 5 senses, they are nothing but mind expressing through senses. They are mind. And mind in turn is buddhi, intellect. Intellect in turn is cosmic mind. So ultimately you are leading yours to understand that even in a little touch made by your finger, you are seeing the miracle of consciousness. Brahman is behind that touch. So if you have that understanding, you are promoting Brahmakara vritti, You are inspired by the presence of Brahman, and your mind moves towards Brahma realization. But if you are lacking that thoughtfulness, then your mind goes after Vishayakara vritti. How wonderful the touch is. So wonderful. Now, touch-related reality goes into your mind and creates its own drama. Then it is called Vishayakara vritti. And Vishayakara vrittis are endless. Nothing will be fulfilling. The screen is not fulfilled by projections. The screen is the one that gives value to projections. Brahman is the screen, reality, adhisthana. Even the functions of the organs of action are caused by the promptings of the mind. And when we talk about indriyas, senses, we have two groups: organs of action and senses of perception, karmendriyas, jnanendriyas. Karmendriyas, hand, feet, speech, etc. Jnanendriyas, I don't have to enumerate them. All these functions of the indriyas, they are backed up by mind. Mind is the ruler, guiding factor. The impurities of the mind, in turn, are ever witnessed by the self, which is pure and taintless. But even the mind is being illumined by intellect. So if your intellect becomes pure, you have a view of your mind and you have your own understanding whether your mind is going in a right way, in a wrong way, your mind is full of mala or mind is becoming pure. You are having an overview over your mind if your intellect is purified. And similarly, you have an overview of your intellect itself. You can easily understand. Many times you have brought into your mind, oh, last day's information. But your intellect has now understood. Now my intellect is clear. So you are different from your intellect. You are studying your intellect. You can see it. Similarly, you are distant from your ego. You can see the rise and fall of your ego. So the real I am has to become your target. And as the real I am becomes your target of thought, all these experiences of senses, mind, intellect, ego, they will continue to create the drama of the world. But you will experience increasing detachment. You will be more and more like the sky, and the experiences will be all that comes in the space, clouds coming and going. This pure consciousness, having identified with the conditioned mind, believes itself to be a jiva, turning to yourself as individual soul. That individual soul is not reality. It is reflected consciousness, like a reflected sun reflecting in a jar of water. Pure consciousness reflecting in your mental process. And that is, the reflected state is the jiva state. I am the soul. And therefore, being a soul in the midst of countless souls, and all these souls are in a big trip. They are all flowing, led by their karma. So you have a picture of souls, countless souls, like countless stars floating in the vast universe. But all this big imagination is coming from your own mind. Any bigness is not outside of your mind. It is the illusion created by your own mind. So having become deluded, the soul gets trapped by bondage. The soul gets trapped by the cycle of birth and death. But by the practice of inquiry and reflection, it regains its essential nature and realizes I am Brahman. So it's very important to understand what type of meditation, mental process. Mind you have always there, but you have also a choice of making changes in your mind. But what type of changes, improvement should you create in your mind that will enable you to realize I am Brahman? Otherwise, led by ignorance, you are helplessly drawn to karma, far away from this reality, I am Brahman, I am Jiva. But I am Jiva, think of the extension of this experience. As you are aware of a particular body, you are aware of a particular village, country, nation where you were born, aware of your house, your possessions. All these details arise based upon the simple illusion I am a jiva. But all this vanishes when you have revelation, I am Brahman. Important to understand this revelation, that it doesn't happen instantaneously. You have to go through a progressive ascent through the 7 steps of wisdom, jnana bhumikas. This consciousness, the more and more allegorical picture of consciousness, this consciousness rides in the chariot of jivahood. First hood is the jiva hood. Now, next stage, the jiva rides in the chariot of ego sense. So jiva hood functions in this world through your ego, ahamkar. You have gotten the best car. Ego sense rides in the chariot of intellect. Ego is dependent upon the intellect. Intellect rides in the chariot of the mind. The mind rides in the chariot of pranas, vital forces. In turn, pranas ride in the chariot of the senses. How do your pranas become activated? It depends upon your sense experience. Sense pleasure creates a different commotion in your pranas. Similarly, purified experiences through your senses that are being restrained and brought on the right line, your pranas become much more harmonized. So see the relationship between the pranas and the senses. The senses ride in the chariot of the body, and the body rides in the chariot of organs of action. All these are details, and they are allegorical. You are absolute consciousness. You don't have to ride. But just like sun is the absolute light, but then it rides the chariot of cloud. Cloud is illumined. Now it rides through the layers of vapor, creating different illuminations. It comes down and starts riding on the mountains, starts riding on the tree, and just going to explain to you why the allegorical way of describing it. It's not riding anywhere. The sun is just shining. But when you study its very luminosity, your mind will create a succession, how it comes down into the earth, riding from one vehicle to another. Similarly, transcendental reality is like the sun, but how it has come down to your level of practical world, as if riding from one step to another. And with this I will conclude. No more riding. Om Ram 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 Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om Namah Shivaya Om. Prayer for shower of Karunamaya of grace of God over all, with the blessings of Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Are there any questions tonight? Tree run? Her battery has died. Oh, just 1 second, you'll have it ready.
describe the art of going from relative consciousness to absolute consciousness? Can you give us some steps? Or
Steps are integral yoga. Turn your action into karma yoga. Sentiments should flow along bhakti yoga. Do more music. Inspire yourself and inspire others. I'm just giving a witty way, but the bhakti movement. But not to stay just singing the melody of the song. Start also with the awareness of what is your goal, a sankalpa. Sankalpa to attain God liberation. All other sankalpas in the world, they are relative sankalpas. But liberation should be your fundamental sankalpa. And that's called will aspect. And then jnana aspect is a climax. How you understand yourself. Your understanding starts intellectual, which is a great help. But intellect stage keeps you full of perspiration. Turn your intellect to operate in a way that it gives inspiration. So try to see the difference between perspiration and inspiration. How does it feel like? So that type of purity of intellect. And that will automatically lead you to the ultimate. So all these four aspects must be well coordinated, well harmonized. But you don't have to calculate it. If you are following the sadhana in the right way, you may emphasize only your karma, others join in, may emphasize only your bhakti, or only your sankalpa, will, or simply your jnana. You may be just a jnana yogi to you, to your own understanding, but all the four must go together. And they will go together, and that's the art of waking up from the world process. Otherwise you can stay trapped by the dream, by conditioned mind. Okay.
thank you, Gurudev.
So classes continue as usual. Remember, on Thursday, you can enjoy Swamiji's Thanksgiving message as your dinner prasad.
Om Shri Satguru